Top 10 shocking secrets the Queen took to her grave. Number 10, Princess Diana. The top secret revealed by Diana was back in 1995 when the princess agreed to sit down with BBC's Martin Bashir for an exclusive interview. In the interview, Diana opened up about her marriage to Charles and her experiences with the royal family, and admitted that she had also had an affair during her marriage. She revealed that Charles's long affair with Camilla made her feel worthless. And she said that she suspected Charles's staff was waging a campaign against her. In addition to her revelations about the royals, Diana also spoke about her struggles with bulimia, postpartum depression, and self-harm. It's really sad to hear how much the charismatic and charming princess was suffering. Hopefully the newer royals have access to more resources to help with their well-being, as should everyone else. After the interview aired, Queen Elizabeth wrote to the couple, who at that point had been separated since 1992, and told them to proceed with their divorce. In the years following the release of the interview, it's been alleged that the BBC showed Diana fake bank statements that claimed they were proof that the media had been paying the royal family for information about Diana in order to convince her to tell her side of the story in the interview. While a 1996 investigation proved inconclusive, in 2021, the BBC revealed that they found interviewer Martin Bashir had acted in a deceitful way to ensure that the interview would happen. And because of that, they returned all awards. The interview special one formally apologized for the actions and vowed to never air the footage again. I mean, as they should. That was a snake move on their part, but drama between the royals and the media is always entertaining for the general public. Number 9, Charles's relationship problems. We all know that the relationship between Princess Diana and then Prince Charles was no secret. So when the news about them breaking up finally went public, many people became interested in them as individuals and as a failed marriage. Number 8, personal funds. Far from opening the royal family's wealth, inherited or otherwise, to scrutiny, astonishingly there appears to be no study of this topic. The Queen successfully lobbied the government to change a draft law in order to conceal her embarrassing private wealth from the public. The Queen was also given a personal exemption from having her private state searched for stolen or looted artifacts, and her household remained exempt from laws that ban race and sex discrimination. And although it is speculated that her personal wealth amounts to hundreds of millions of pounds, the exact amount is still unknown. The wealth is not all simply historical. It is instructive that the British monarchy gives itself the business name The Firm. Despite all the patriotic songs, it has offshore investments that don't pay taxes like many other global corporations do. On top of that, Charles's mother's inheritance will never be subject to inheritance tax. The most crucial aspect of understanding the British monarchy and the Queen, who recently sat on his throne, is the politics of enormous wealth. Percy Bysshe Shelley, a poet, once said that the monarchy and the royal family serve as only the string that ties the robber's bundle. Their ultimate purpose is to emphasize their rich and powerful right to make decisions. The Queen was one of the largest private landowners in the nation, continuing the earliest forms of feudalism. For the British monarchy, which sprinkles generous doses of charity on the populace while sitting comfortably at the interface of old wealth. Number 7, Princess Anne. From November 1973 to April 1992, Queen Elizabeth's daughter Anne was married to Mark Phillips. The couple had 2 children together. However, it turns out that Mark had a child out of the marriage with Princess Anne. Mark Phillips is said to be the father of a daughter named Felicity, who now lives in New Zealand, but reportedly grew up on the 700-acre estate with Zara and Peter. In the 1990s, Heather Tonkin, her mother, attempted to have Mark claim paternity. He declined, but was simultaneously paying her £6,000 per year for 5 years. Suspicious. Number 6, Prince Philip. After the husband of Queen Elizabeth passed away, his legacy is marred by decades of off-the-cuff, problematic, and racially charged remarks. The British monarchy's longest-serving consort has said things that are offensive on multiple occasions. The Duke, who wed the Queen in 1947, retired from public life in May 2017 at the age of 95, but his remarks that were racist, sexist, or degrading had been dismissed as gaffes for more than 40 years prior. When Philip went to China in 1986, he called Beijing ghastly. Additionally, he told British students, "You'll have slitty eyes if you stay here for a long time." Philip made an offensive observation about Cantonese cuisine in the same year while giving a speech at a meeting of the World Wildlife Fund. He also stated the following to a student who was traveling through Papua New Guinea in 1988. "So how did you avoid being eaten?" In 1994, he inquired of residents of the Cayman Islands as to whether the majority of them were descended from pirates, and in 2002, he posed the following question to a native leader in Queensland: "Do you still strike each other with spears?" Just upsetting. Number 5, struggling to fit in. Irving pointed to Philip's 1956 tour of Commonwealth countries as evidence of his need for breathing room. He explained, "It is understandable that as a hot-blooded young buck, as soon as he entered into the orbit of the horrible royal court and all the flunkies telling him what to do, it did not suit him. The fact that he lost his stack and spent 6 months on the boat is not surprising. He wanted to escape the dreadful atmosphere of the court where he felt constrained. But Philip was able to make the job his own over time. He founded awards for design and industry, established an interfaith dialogue, and served as the first president of the World Wildlife Fund UK, in addition to accompanying the Queen on her travels abroad and supporting hundreds of organizations. He later stated that supporting his wife in her role as monarch was his primary responsibility. Philip was eager to embrace television when he joined the British royal family at the same time that it was growing in popularity, and was the first member of the royal family to give an interview on television in 1961, promoting the advantages of technical skills and training. Number 4, hiding family members. While most of the royal family is on display like an art exhibit gone rogue, there have been moments throughout history where they tried to hide away members of the family they didn't deem adequate for the public eye. Prince John was the youngest son of King George V, the Queen's grandfather, and when he passed away at only 13 years old, we didn't hear anything about him again. The young boy reportedly had epilepsy, and the royal family used a familiar tactic to cope, hiding the child from public view. Royal biographer Christopher Wilson has documented that some family trees entirely leave out Prince John's name. And if they feel they have somebody that isn't up to par, they want to rip them out of the history books, which happened in Prince John's case. However, that wasn't the first time the royals had hidden away family for the sake of a public image. Queen Elizabeth's first cousins Nerissa and Catherine Bowes-Lyon were each born with mental impairments and hidden away at the Royal Earlswood Institution for Mental Defectives, and their family also reported the girls passed in 1961 when they really hadn't. Catherine and Queen Elizabeth were born in the same year, but because the family had little to no understanding of navigating mental impairments, they lived incredibly separate lives. Nerissa lived another 25 years after being initially labeled deceased, and Catherine only perished in 2014. Makes you wonder if there are other members of the family who are dealing with this at the moment. What do you guys think? On to number 3, affairs. Diana and Charles had a pretty rocky relationship, and it was never hard to see the lack of chemistry or affection in the couple. Diana was torn after finding out about the long affair Charles was having with Camilla, who is now queen. The extramarital affairs didn't even stop there. Diana confessed that she was also seeing other men during their rocky marriage, and since Charles had already admitted to Diana he was in love with her, it seemed the princess was gonna find affection one way or another. And number 2, Camilla. According to King Charles's biographer, who spoke with Newsweek Royal Report podcast, Queen Elizabeth always detested Camilla and only agreed to give her blessing for the royal to be known as queen because of an unspoken deal behind the scenes regarding Prince Andrew. Camilla first met Charles in the 70s, and the two were in and out of relationships ever since. Charles admitted to adultery when his marriage became irrevocably broken down in 1981, when his marriage to Diana began. And number 1, tax fraud. The family has been exposed numerous times and have been dealing with a number of issues, one of which is tax fraud. The late queen was once exposed for concealing her embarrassing wealth from the public, which may or may not come as a surprise. It was alleged that Queen Liz's private attorney pressed ministers to modify proposed legislation to prevent the public from learning about her shareholdings. Even though the Queen's actual holdings were never made public, we can only assume that they were in the hundreds of millions of pounds range. That is all for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time on The Rich Life.